So here's the dowel pins on our arms for our grease ring. You can see one has one and one has got the receiver hole, just a female hole, so that you can't ever mix it up and get it backwards, get the alignment wrong. Another thing to note is we kind of built some break points into it. You can see that our receiver arms are just barely welded to our grease ring. They're TIG welded, so they're good and strong, but we didn't fully weld them for a couple reasons. Number one, we didn't want to distort this hole. We had to machine that hole on the lathe, so this part can't spin with the arms welded to it. So we didn't want to, anytime you weld, it shrinks and changes the shape of things. So if we welded that fully, we felt that would egg shape our hole and then we wouldn't have a good fit. And two, we wanted something that if something went wrong, if we were applying too much pressure, we wanted something to break. And we wanted to break right here and here or here and here. And we didn't want to bend the shaft or mess up any of the other expensive tooling that we've built. So we kind of made this the sacrificial lamb, so if something breaks, it's going to break right here. And same thing for the arms with the bearing in it. We just welded the tops and the bottoms and nowhere else. And we pressed the bearing in afterwards, after it cooled, so that the heat from that didn't affect the bearing, melt the seal or hurt the grease or distort it. So here's our limit switch arrangement. As the ram comes forward, the limit switch is down here, and it hits the switch, which is wired into the hydraulic pump. And there's the stop to protect the ram, or to protect the shaft from the ram coming in contact with it. So the switch shuts the pump off, and then the natural cam action of the dies as you're rotating the die that way forces the ram back in, which takes it off the limit switch. So the pump just kicks on automatically when the limit switch is deactivated, and the pump kicks on and the die continues to rotate and you just bend your part. So once you press the button for the hydraulic pump, you don't have to time it or anything. You just stay on the button and the limit switch does all the work for you. So I'll show you here just on a little short piece how that works. So you can see there that limit switch shut it off, then turned it back on at the right time, and works like a charm. Okay, what we're going to do here is bend a piece of metal. So we've got marks where to start. So we start our first die right there. And put our piece of material in the slot. Our dump valve. And also what we have is a limit switch down here, so when we advance our ram, we don't crash the ram into this, and it's wired through our push button here. You plug it in, and that way we can just hold the hydraulic pump on. That runs the ram all the way forward. The limit switch sets it off, or shuts it off, and there's a stop there, so that this assembly doesn't travel too far in and hurt our die or bend our shaft. Just kind of a safety precaution. So we'll run this in. Just kind of holds us right there. And you see once the ram retracts, the limit switch allows it to turn back on, and that's why it jumped back. And now I can start bending. It'll just keep cycling as it rolls back. The limit switch will turn back on, and I can just run it around to the end of this die. Stop right there. And shut the valve here that holds the pressure on, and then there's the first part of our scroll. What we'll do is we'll bolt on the next die and come on around, and then that'll bend us a whole die. Normally we bend this to here, take it off, and we bend all of them to this point, so we've got to switch dies. So then we put the big die on and bend the rest of them. For this, since we've already bent all of our scrolls, I'm just going to go ahead and put this die on and continue bending, which is a little different process than what we normally do. Set the big die right there, and it'll just kind of hang out. And then that allows us to keep bending. So So what I'll do is put pressure on it. It can hold it. It'll push this against this with 500 pounds of hydraulic pressure times the piston area of 2.1, so about 1,000 pounds of force. It'll push in. Then I can engage the roll and just come on around. Gotta open this valve first so I don't bend the ram. There we are. One scroll bent. And voila! Scroll.